So place your bets we're going to blow out the speakers.
I hope so. Well, it's 12. Should we start?
Yeah, let's go ahead. So,
Right.
give it a shot.
Yep.
Let's give it a shot.
Hey, assholes. Welcome to Omicron. MAGFest. This is the SML Podcast live panel. Who's ready to have a good time? I can't hear you. I said, who's ready to have a good time? I still can't hear you. This is pre-recorded. Ass. Also, you, in the back. Who let you in? Fuck you. We'd like to take a moment to thank the roughly 3 of you who showed up today.
Thank you.
And you are kind. But not you. Fuck you. May your fold increase, your fountains be potable, and your sperm count suffer not the ravages of age. Addressing the elephant in the room, the word Omicron hasn't been said this much since an actual good Star Trek series was still on the air. Since you're around about 20,000 other people sequestered in a hotel during a pandemic, may as well go lick some fucking doorknobs. You're going home with a gift, and it's not a toaster. Make sure to give Joe Cam a nice fist, elbow, or ass cheek bump after the panel is over. Dude works hard for you and loves each and every one of you, except still not you. Seriously, fuck you. Make sure to have some pancakes after the show. You know you love them, and you love them wet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lumberjacks. We are what you call Lumberjacks. Is anyone familiar with the term Lumberjacks with MAGFest?
Oh, wow.
We are the idiots who've been to every single MAGFest. This was
Prime, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
MAGFest Prime.
Yeah, the main ones.
Are you one?
Yep,
Name?
Mike Kemp.
Mike Kemp. We have been waiting to meet you. You are the unknown lumberjack, the one that we haven't met. So.
I was gonna say, I can't stick around, I gotta work, but I want to see who showed up here. So.
Well,
That's right.
yeah. Admittedly, there was going to be a few more people.
Yeah, we had a panel of a good 8 people set up and planned for today, but something happened. I don't know what's going on. Just a bunch of people didn't come to MAGFest this year. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Word up.
So this
it
was supposed to be podcast style recording.
I gotta go back and see what I think myself. Hopefully I'll get this back when this ends, so.
Okay, man. Well, thanks for stopping.
Ends like it's gonna start.
Oh, wow.
Oh, more people piling in, though. So.
Yeah, so again, we are MAGFest Lumberjacks. We've been to every event. I am Joe Cam. This is Matt. That is Ian. Let me ask you guys, what brought you to MAGFest?
A couple of friends from college. Basically, a mutual friend of ours by the name of Kat, she just kind of came up to me out of nowhere and was like, hey, do you want to go to this video game thing that's going on down in Virginia? I was like, well, what kind of video game thing? It's sort of like a convention thing where it's all about video games and stuff, and you just play video games for the weekend. It's like, you know what? I'm cool with that. So,
And that year was MAGFest 1, 2002. Oh my God.
was it 2002? I thought it was 2001 because they're trying
I was
to.
thinking it was 3, so let's just say it's in the middle and say it's 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wikipedia claims it was 2002.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going.
So in
off
my
that.
case, I mean, I've been going to anime conventions since college, and I think I met Sean, the Vice Con chair, as opposed to Joe, other Joe, and I was working on a fanzine at the time, so I'm like, I like video games. This is something I can write about. I'll go there. It's only a couple hours away. And ever since.
The rest is history. I was turned on to MAGFest by a guy named Mustin. He is a member of the One Ups, a video game cover band who's been to a number of MAGFests over the years. He turned me on to MAGFest, mentioned that would be the first show that the One Up Mushrooms would be playing at. And I was a fan of the band and friends with the band, and I said I would make the trip down. And my very first experience with MAGFest was actually in the bathroom, and Mustin came in and just took a giant shit next to me. And that's how my MAGFest experience started. So if people want to talk about shitty MAGFests, that's how you do it.
Yeah. Although we should probably explain where the actual name Lumberjack comes from, because that's kind of a humorous anecdote in and of itself.
I wish Joe was here to talk about that, because he actually explained the very first MAGFest, the board outside the hotel said, "Welcome, woodsmen of the world." Now,
Yeah, it turns like when we got there, like we were all under the impression that we pretty much owned up the hotel, and it's like, oh man, we got this whole place to ourselves, and da 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 da. And we get there, and it's like, welcome, woodsmen of the world. It turns out there was like a legit lumberjack convention going on at the same time.
That was some kind of tech group.
Oh, it was a tech group.
Yeah.
Oh,
allegedly, from what Joe told me.
huh.
Yeah.
Do you know anything more about that, Matt, or no?
I saw what he said a few weeks ago, and yeah, it wasn't that they were lumberjacks, but that's the name that we picked. I mean,
It's still
I think
funny as hell.
Yeah.
it was one of those things like, we roll in there, and I guess they hadn't changed the sign over yet. So, and this is just a small Holiday Inn out in Roanoke. So
Yep. The Tanglewood.
the Tanglewood with the Pink Elephant Bar.
Pink elephant bar.
Yeah, and just to give an idea of scaling, the first MAGFest had about 175 attendees.
263.
Oh, 263. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was closer to 300.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow, that was huge.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like the actual game console room was probably as big as this hall we're in right now, give or take.
I want to say like all of MAGFest was probably like this room.
Yeah.
That's how MAGFest has grown over the years. It's just exploded from 260 people to what, 20,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
By all means.
What did you do at the first MAGFest? Like, what was there to do?
I mean, it's basically kind of like what it is now, but just like super scaled down.
Yeah. So back then, it wasn't the Music and Gaming Festival, even. It was the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, it was originally called the Mid-Atlantic Gaming Festival.
Were there any panels at all?
Yeah, I mean the guests that were there had panels. So
Yep.
there was a couple musical guests, which was largely the video game remix community
Yeah, it was
kind
the
of
Mini
thing.
Bosses, the One Up Mushrooms, the One Ups, and a
Everyone?
band called Everyone, who got by on their catchphrase, "Everyone is better than Limp Bizkit."
Just to date ourselves even further.
Yes,
Yeah.
because Limp Bizkit used to have the tagline that Limp Bizkit is better than everybody. So they decided to just spin it around. And
But
Yep.
besides
they weren't.
besides like the One Up Mushrooms at the time, there was also Stephen Kennedy of
Project
KFS.
Majestic Mix.
Yep.
Yep.
Jake Vert Kaufman, who you are probably familiar with many video game soundtracks.
Yeah, Shovel Knight,
Shovel
Double
Knight
Dragon.
particularly, but a lot of other ones for Way Forward as well.
Yep.
Yeah, because he
Like
did-
DuckTales Remastered, for example. Plenty of them.
Yeah, and he did
Everyone
Double
loves
Dragon Neon, right?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Very nice guy. Very friendly too.
Yep.
Yeah, very good stuff. My first MAGFest experience actually involved underage drinking and a kid who was there with his parents, and at about 4 a.m, he was passed out in a hotel room. Vert was already passed out. And we tried waking him up, and I don't know if there's still video of it online. It was called Legend of Drunken Master.
I came up with the name. I wasn't there for this, but I came up with the name.
And there's just this crazy footage of him stumbling down a hallway, trying to get back to his mom's hotel room. And at the very end, we just knock on the door and everyone ghosts him and just leave him at the door.
So that's the story from his side of view. So from my point of view here,
What did you do at your first MAGFest?
Jake's partner at the time was someone I knew, and I had asked her about any, hey, do you know anybody that's looking for a roommate for MAGFest? So this kid who goes by Master, him and his buddy were my roommates there.
Oh no!
And basically
I didn't know this part.
Oh yeah. Oh, it gets better. So basically, he was young enough, or the two of them were young enough, that his parents also came to the MAGFest, but they had a room for themselves while the three of us were there. So things that we found out over the course of the weekend is that his parents didn't know that I was in the room as well. So we're calling in to check up on them each night at like 11 something at night. So the night where this happened on the Saturday, get a call and I'm like, well, one of them is like in bed with the covers pulled up and the lights are off. I don't know which it is. And that's when they found out there was another person. Yeah, but like long story short though, like I met the parents and like the mother was very kind of like upset and the dad was like, oh, this is too bad. Way to go, son.
Own it.
Made me proud. Make me proud. So what keeps you coming back to MAGFest? It's been 20 years. This year marks the 20th year of MAGFest. Why do you keep coming back?
Mag family.
Yeah.
What do you consider Mag family?
Well, so honestly, meeting the X-Strike folks, that first time I was there, or actually, no, they were the second year.
They were at MAGFest too.
MAGFest too.
Yep.
And so this is a group of friends. Some of them do some of the panels and game shows here. And most of them are based around upstate New York. And now it's like upstate New York and New York City. Mm-hmm. It's the one time a year I get to see them, because they don't really do as much of the way of conventions down here. And these days I don't do many conventions. It's basically this and Dragon Con.
Especially since like a lot of us have grown up from being poor ass college students to, having actual careers, families, and, real actual lives.
Pets count. So yeah, it's every year I get a chance to see, fine gentlemen like these two and others. And
don't call me fine. I'm not.
You're double fine.
I'm double fine.
But the music and other stuff too. But for me, it's really just about seeing people that this is like the one place where we meet up once a year. Last year accepted. I
know you mentioned that you've been to a number of conventions. MAGFest is the only thing I do every year. Like I've tried Anime Mid-Atlantic once or twice. People have tried getting me to go to Katsucon. I don't care enough. And being here is just a different feeling because, like, I'm normally an introvert. I'm really shy. I don't really get out too often. But you feel at home at MAGFest if people understand like what I mean by that. You feel welcome here and wanted here, and that's what keeps me coming back every year. Ian, what about you? What brings you back every year?
It's pretty much along the same lines. Because on one hand, they have like a boomer moment, like, in a way we kind of grew up with MAGFest because it's always been kind of a staple. We've met a lot of very interesting people here. And, also it's just, freaking video games. Come on. How can you say no to that? But as it's grown, it's like added to its repertoire and like a lot of interesting things. Like, I can say that, remember when we had the drinking contest with John St. John? For those who don't know, John St. John is the voice actor who does Duke Nukem, and Big the Cat, and among other things. But yeah, there was a time where we had a drinking contest, and he was judging the shots. And I do believe you called him out for being a pussy for that.
Yes, I did call him out for being a pussy. Our friend Ale Sean, a member of the VG Mix and OC Remix community, he decided to be a complete asshole with his shot, and he decided to make what he called the Karnov, which was bottom shelf vodka and chipotle sauce.
Was this the shot content, the make your own?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Onimu shots, it was called.
Onimu.
And he made...
Also dating ourselves when Unimusha was a game.
Yeah.
So he took bottom shelf vodka and chipotle sauce and made 3 shots for the 3 judges. I was a judge the first round. Were you a judge?
I was his stand-in because he wouldn't do it.
That's right. We have a witness.
Come on up here. Tell us about... Fuck it, Hack. Get up here. You've been to enough of these. We don't have anyone else to join us, so you might as well.
Oh, okay.
Have a seat. Tell us about what. First off, what was your thoughts on that shot, the Karnov?
Wasn't bad. Actually, it was kind of tasty.
You were full of shit.
I had also had a lot to drink that weekend.
Yeah, you're already numb.
So introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
I'm Hat. This is my 13th, so I'm not actually a lumberjack, but I'm a friend with the Lumberjacks. I actually got involved in this with the Dwelling of Duels crew and VG Mix. And Pingo Simon, Andre Beller, told me I had to come, so I came.
Yeah, when people tell you got to go to MAGFest, usually they're pretty serious. You gotta check it out. You gotta go to MAGFest. You gotta experience it. It's so much different than everything else that's out there. I mean, this year's different because of the whole, we're shutting down 4 to 8 to clean things. But normally you're drunk and hungover at 5 a.m. You need something to do. You could just go down and play Rock Band for an hour and fuck around and play Taiko Drum Master and
I mean,
Pinball.
Yeah, and I kind of told this story at Mag 10 panel.
Yeah, but this is a repeat of Mag 10, so
but like kind of expand on the question. Like, what do you do at MAGFest? Because I remember at the first MAGFest, I was just kind of being a college student, stay up till like 2, 3 in the morning on a regular basis, and I was kind of wandering around, and I heard that the game room was open. It's like, oh wow, cool, video games at like 3 in the morning, cool, let's do it. So I wander down, and it's pretty quiet and everything like that. But I sit down and I start jamming out on Bomberman on Super NES. And I'm just kind of noodling around and everything. And eventually a guy comes up and is like, hey, do you mind if I jump in? It's like, no, go right ahead. And start up multiplayer. And another person comes up, hey, do you mind if I join in? Yeah, go right ahead. And people kept joining until we had like 8 people playing Bomberman at like 4 in the morning. And we were just kind of getting that weird like sleep deprived, punch drunk, goofy, where like the dumbest shit will be like the funniest shit in the world. And there's actually, oh man, it's a shame Brendan wasn't here, but there's like an actual picture of all of us just sitting there playing Bomberman, looking totally like fried out of our brains because it's 5 in the morning and we've been sitting there playing it for like 3 hours straight. But it's just the fact that you can just kind of sit down and with a bunch of strangers have a good time and have a nice takeaway from that, and even build friendships off that kind of stuff, and can have it persist. I mean, especially now that there's a lot more of a social media presence now than there was then.
Social media didn't exist back then.
I mean,
it did, but like
not to the
like who's old enough to remember America Online Instant Messenger?
Yeah.
Oh,
who's
shit.
old enough to remember
me then.
ICQ?
ICQ, baby.
Yahoo.
4510100. That was my number.
That's sad.
Yeah. And then there was Trillion for the
how
really
many digits
savvy.
was that?
7.
Wow.
I mean, I think I know someone who had 6, but yeah.
Oh, geez.
Things
But,
that, when college, that stuff goes around, Napster and ICQ and Real Player and all that fun stuff.
Oh, God,
Real Player. Oh.
You're old, Len.
Who remembers watching stuff in 160p? Any other questions? Did people have any questions for us?
How many Lumberjacks are there?
Right now, I believe we're down to 6.
Yeah. This year wiped a lot of people out.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons.
We lost like 3 this year alone. Brendan Becker, Robert Aldrich, and Chris Gwinnett were all supposed to be a part of this panel. For the people who missed the beginning of this panel, there were supposed to be like 8 of us here. Yeah. And instead you got us 3, and then Hat joined us for the hell of it. But it's a dwindling community where we started off strong, and over the years, like Mag 10, there were still a ton of us at Mag 10.
Yeah, I think there's about 11 of us at Mag 10.
Yeah, it was around a dozen or very low teens.
And it's just creeped lower and lower over the years, and we've lost a lot of good friends over the years to politics and infighting and everything else, but friendships never end. So
yeah, I feel like this year should really be like a let people keep it both like an asterisk situation, but
put a star next to their name.
But just the fact that we're able to have it despite the consequences is I don't want to say reinvigorating, but it's good to know that this wasn't killed by COVID.
Yeah. Is this anybody's first MAGFest? First MAGFest?
Welcome.
Yeah.
What do you think so far?
Oh, I've enjoyed it. I've been hearing it's so much different than normal, but it's
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a blast. We've been going since 8, and it's like you said, like I tell all my friends, I'm like, you gotta come. Like I talked to a crazy person, and he finally came. We met him. He's from Norway.
Oh wow!
Damn, welcome.
Chipotle. This has been 6 years ago. Yeah. And it was like he asked me like, what is this soda? What is this flavor? I don't know what this is. And I was like, oh, where are you from? And then we've rolled ever since. Like he comes over twice a year.
That's awesome.
He stays with us and
Cool. I mean that is a perfect example of MAGFest experience.
I remember our buddy Frankie from Holland came over. What year was that? Like 2005, 2006?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I only know him from the barbecues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was only like a year or two before the dreaded antiquing incident.
Yeah.
Ian, do you want to tell us?
Yeah.
We almost got kicked out of MAGFest the one year, like
Yeah,
completely.
Yeah, we believe
I don't
it
know
was,
this story, so
No?
I'm not a part
yeah,
of the
we're
league.
pretty sure it was at MAGFest 4, but
But we're old and we forget.
yeah. Some people kind of got a little tanked, and they thought it would be cool to like get a bag of flour and run around antiquing things.
Oh,
Like basically, they'd like powder bomb doorknobs, decorations, lighting fixtures, drawing
were
on
dicks.
carpets. Yeah. So when Joe says that we were like almost kicked out, it's within the context of people were packing their bags and migrating to the parking lot before Brendan Becker started screaming at everyone, "Hold on. I think we've smoothed this out. Don't fuck it up."
We proceeded to fuck it up.
Yeah. But yeah. And we're pretty sure it's 4 because that was the only the only location where we were there only once.
No, there's a few that we were there only
original
once.
Location.
Yeah.
For
Well, I mean,
5,
like, 'cause I-
Tyson's Corner
Yeah.
for 5 was another.
Okay. That's right.
After that, we were over at Seminary Road off 395, and then here.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
MAGFest 6 through 9 was at the Alexandria Mark Center.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
where
still
it
they do
was
Mag
for
Labs, right?
That's where
Or
they
did
do
they
Mag
move?
Lab, but I don't think they've done Mag Labs for a few years. No.
No, we haven't had the budget for it the last several years. Is the main reason.
yeah.
Okay.
It was a big money loser, unfortunately.
Mm.
It was nice to go to, but what about some, someone else from 6, 7? Yeah.
Yeah, because
I miss the Hilton.
the Mark was a really great venue. We were there from 6 through 9. It was like a perfect sized venue where it accommodated everything and everyone quite nicely, and it had like a really nice like through traffic where it's really easy to bump into people. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, the elevators. Yeah.
Oh God, the elevators.
If you think the
And by
elevators here
elevators,
can get
you mean,
annoying,
By elevators,
they
you mean
work.
elevator party?
The
Yeah.
people traps.
When did the Colossus roar? And
oh, we were hoping to save this.
That was also the Hilton, right?
Yeah, that was definitely the Mark. Okay. So
We were told it is now 13 years old of that fucking roar.
yeah, we're gonna warn you right now. Like, we're not very large fans of it because we've been hearing it for a long time, and we were kind of hoping to use this as our trump card in case we really needed to pad out the
Yeah,
time,
as a PSA, stop doing it.
or at least
Stop.
learn how to do it correctly. But yeah, the story with the Colossus Roar is it started at 7. And the reason being is that over at the Hilton Alexandria Mark, for those who weren't able to attend it when it was back over there, is that the vendors alley was kind of like in this open area, and the arcade was in like a ballroom that was adjacent to it, and there was a hallway that ran down and around the ballroom that led into the vendors alley, and they'd usually put a few cabinets in that hallway just to take up some space and whatever. But the one that was closest to the vendors alley was the X-Men arcade game, the 4-stick co-op thing.
Well, this was the 6th one, right? Because it was Charles's.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Our good friend Charles Margolis donated that cabinet to MAGFest.
so
Who
hashtag
passed a
blame
couple
Charles.
years ago,
Yes,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you
Did you have like a back hallway so it, like the sound would just bounce around?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was.
And-
it was
and-
like it was in the back hallway, and
And
for
part of it, as we all know, Colossus is the best and easiest character to play in the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, it's
so
but for some
on free play, it's just
but for some really weird reason, like if you haven't even played the game or whatever, each mutant has like a superpower that they do. It's basically it clears the screen of all the enemies, and Colossus basically had this huge AOE where he just kind of flexed up and does his roar.
you do it
but
in the
for
middle of the
some
screen, it just wipes out
Yeah.
everybody.
But for some weird reason, the volume on his particular roar, like his sound file, was like 250% louder than anything else in the game. And because of the acoustics of the hallway that led into the vendors alley, like you'd hear it bounce through anywhere. And because usually like there's also like the alley was off the main thoroughfare, it was really easy to hear. So you just be sitting out there, like there's like some tables and stuff over by like some of the food area and everything, and just in the distance, just hear.
Someone's playing X-Men.
And it just carried, and you just hear it all the time, and it just sounded so ridiculous and out of context that people just started doing it, and it just kind of turned into like the meme of MAGFest for the next couple of years. Fast forward to MAGFest 10, where it was almost dead, because everyone was kind of getting tired of it. It's like, yeah, it was kind of funny, but we're moving on. It was almost dead, and
10, it just like tripled the size of the audience.
Well, the reason why it made a big resurgence was because that was the year that Nobuo Uematsu performed. And it wasn't the Black Wizards. It was basically the guys from the Black
Mages.
Black Mages, or that's it.
Earthbound Papas, yeah.
That's it. Earthbound Papas. That's what it was. They were performing, and basically a bunch of people in the audience got him to do the roar on stage, and that pretty much sealed it for like the next.
Yeah, that
till now.
validated the roar. And
Yeah.
Now we can't get rid of it. So
Yeah. And to his credit, he was an adorable man, and he was adorable doing it.
he was.
But it's kind of funny because, like we're constantly hearing it, and it's almost gotten to a point where we're just taking bets. Like, how long is it going to be before we hear one? It's like, don't speak of it, or else it's going to happen. It's like Voldemort. But
we didn't hear one on Wednesday. It was fantastic.
Yeah. It's like,
Wednesday
hopefully the
was
masks
great.
will kind of muffle it, but no. But it's kind of interesting because like there's like a lot of people out there that have no idea what it is or where it came from. And in a way, I kind of
There's
understand.
a lot of people
but
who think it's just a MAGFest roar.
Yeah.
They don't understand the origins. They don't know what comes from a game. They just think it's a fun roar that we do at MAGFest, and I guess it is now.
Yeah.
We tried to cut down on it. We have a sign that says, no Colossus and Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like the Barbra Streisand effect, where like trying to put a damper on it just draws more attention to it, and people do it anyways.
One story I heard is, like Screw Attack you were giving now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they were talking like Craig, who ran it, like they used to come to MAGFest.
Right, this Hilton days, right?
Mhm.
I remember Stuttering Craig getting a copy
Yeah,
of
that does not
Shaq
surprise
Fu
me.
and putting it in a urinal and just having people piss on a copy of Shaq Fu.
Oh, I have a story I can tell actually.
Yeah, go for it.
So one of the first years at the Gaylord, so I used to staff MAGFest, and I was helping in registration, and they needed to pick up and pay for the program books. This is before guidebook was a thing that we were using.
Back in the day.
Back when we
they
had
like
hard
an order-
copy.
They had like an order of like 1,000 of these over at a Staples, a couple exits down the road in Maryland. And so I drove over, picked it up, paid for it on my credit card, and got reimbursed with cash from registration. So I had $1,000 burning a hole in my pocket when the auction came around on Sunday. I bid on a blind auction, paid $100, and got a copy of Shaq Fu for each system that it came on. And it was supposed to come with a tournament t-shirt that I never got.
It's for charity.
I have been saving this for a white elephant, holiday party. I just have not had the opportunity to screw somebody with
Just
that.
remember, it's for charity.
You should bring it back and give it to Big Adam and be like, re-auction this.
Back by unpopular demand.
Yeah, back by unpopular demand. Anyone familiar with the charity auction? Do you guys check out the charity auction? If you don't check out the charity auction, go check it out. Our good friend Adam Chase runs it. They earn a lot of money. They auction off a ton of awesome shit. If you're looking for a PS5 or a Series X, you can win one this year.
Yeah, they are
the raffles
Yep.
down in the merch area. And
So it is theoretically possible to win a PS5 for $1.
yeah. And then you can brag that you got a PS5 for $1, and then you'll get shanked in the parking lot. Someone will take it from you. What keeps you coming back to MAGFest?
Same as you, the people.
Just the people?
Well, the music. People, the music.
What are some of your favorite acts that you've seen over the years here at MAGFest?
Oh,
Not including
gosh.
yourself. Don't cheat.
Gosh. Well, there's this band, the Smash Brothers, I think they called them. And there's a guy passing out bacon one year, and he's passing out hot dogs the next year. And I think the hot dogs were cooked in bacon grease. Like, you're listening to live video game music, and then this guy's feeding you a hot dog. at 11 o'clock at night or something. And it's just sort of a magical thing to happen. I'd never had that happen at a concert.
Yeah. So to back up for those that are not aware, this is back when it was at the Hilton Mark
At the
Center.
Hilton,
And, they set up a cooker outside because there was like a door.
Yeah, there's like a
right there
barbecue
off of
out.
the
Yeah,
ballroom.
this is when we had a live barbecue at the concert.
Yes.
I think it was they did bacon the first year, and then the next
Yep.
year they did hot dogs to just amp it up.
Bacon, hot dogs,
I think
bacon
hot dogs
flavored
was
hot
the
dogs.
third year because there was meatballs in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, meatballs I think was the third year.
I don't remember
Yeah.
if it was meatballs then hot dogs or hot dogs then meatballs.
Probably
But yeah,
both.
we used to serve food at the concerts, and
Even though we weren't technically supposed to,
Yeah.
but that wasn't going to stop us.
I don't think we could do that anymore these days.
Yeah. I mean, there was at least one Iron Chef back in the Hilton
yeah.
days. as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
I have a question.
Maybe Iron Chef, there were several.
Yeah.
But on those, we've gone through a bunch over the years. Any favorite changes or additions that we've had, or least favorites?
What do you mean? Like,
Like VR Zone, or like other.
Oh, like content additions, like things that new things that brought in.
Stuff that you've been enjoying.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's a nice change. Or like, how.
I love the indie games section. I love seeing
Yeah.
that MAGFest has embraced indies and just gives an entire section of the game floor to
Yeah.
indie developers and games that are in development and coming out. And I think it's really cool to see MAGFest embrace the indie community. I've been doing this stupid podcast that this show is supposed to be the basis for since 2013. And I talked to a lot of indie devs, and there's a lot of devs I've talked to that go to MAGFest, and they've got a lot of exposure from MAGFest, a lot of talk about the game, a lot of hands-on with the game, and it really helps shape development of a game, getting hands-on with it and having people get to experience it hands-on.
Yeah, it's a whole new level of exposure too.
Yeah.
But
What
I mean,
keeps you, or what additions are you a fan of?
I don't have anything specific, but I do like the fact that over the years as it's grown, it's gone to accommodate a lot of other genres, I guess. For example, like tabletop games, board games, that kind of stuff. I remember the first year I found out there was a LARP. I was like, oh, there's a LARP? What? When did we start doing that? Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just like, oh man, I wish I'd known about that. I might have checked it out.
What
But
about you?
Well, you sort of poached mine a little bit with the indie section. I one of my best friends is more of a writer, but he learned how to do. I'm blanking on the language, but he had a game that was here at the indie section for
Knocked.
2 years. Knocked, yeah, and it's like a choose your own adventure Robin Hood game. Knocked is in like an arrow knocking. But so I will say that as MAGFest has grown bigger, in the early days, if you had a video game cover band or arrangement band, 9 times out of 10, it was rock or metal.
Yeah.
And these days, you have like the whole gamut of genres.
Yeah, like 2 marching bands last night. Really?
yeah,
That I never thought I would see a marching band at MAGFest, let alone 2 of them. That was cool as fuck. Anyone see the show last night?
I caught some of that, the first one.
Did it? That was good stuff. It was good stuff. What? No, it was
No.
just one after another. It was
Yeah.
it was for the halftime show, and then they had Master Sword finish it off, and
But the irony is it conflicted with the Dwelling of Duels contest listening party, as everything at MAGFest does now.
That's a change. Back in the day, it used to be like when concerts started, everything else.
Everything else,
yeah,
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Also, you didn't know when the concerts were. They weren't announced who was playing when, so you just had to go to all of them.
Yeah. It's like we
I
core
do miss
us.
those days. I liked the spontaneity of like, oh, who's coming on next, or like, what
Yeah.
are we going to hear next? And now everything is pre-planned and everything is just so laid out that
More concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, back in the early days, bands would perform on a podium pretty much like this. And now look at the stage that we've got rocking out there.
Or
first
even
MAGFest was
competing
probably
stages
like
where they had
this.
the
Yeah.
whole setup.
Yeah, because when we first got here, originally, because if you go into the Potomac, is it the Potomac Room? Is that what it's called? The concert
concert
area.
room.
You'll notice there's a giant built-in stage on the left side, and originally there was like a dual stage setup. There was one group over here that was performing, And then when they were done, another group would perform at the back end
While they do tear down.
while they tear down and set up the next group. So it was just kind of like a nice, really fast back and forth. All you had to do was just keep turning them
I
around.
did like that. I thought that was a cool way to do concerts. I appreciate how much bigger and grand everything is now with just the singular stage and how crazy they could get with it. The fucking laser shows are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So Christoph running the laser shows, those are fun.
I have a question. How did you guys first hear about Mag 1? Because for me, I know it was from the Neo Geo form. How did you guys hear about it?
I first heard about it from Mustin of the One Ups. He's the one who told me about it. I don't remember if there was like a specific catalyst that like triggered him to tell me about it. Besides just he wanted more people to get to the show to see them. But I found out about it through him. I don't think I would have found out about it any other way if it wasn't for Mustin.
So we had a table in the Artist Alley area of Otakon, the one preceding MAGFest, I want to say. And Sean was doing the, pamphleting, and that's how I heard about it.
For me, a friend in college told me about it when her boyfriend at the time wasn't able to go. And she's like, well, we have an extra slot filled. You want to go to a video game convention? It's like, I don't have anything going on. Sure. So we pretty much took off and came down to Rowan, because I live in upstate New York, by the way. So we drove down at 10 at night, and our friend's POS pickup truck. And the only way we were staying awake was having the windows cranked down. And of course, and this was back in when it was wasn't it in September or something like that?
Yeah, the MAGFest used to be in the fall instead of in January.
The first one was in September. The second one was Halloween. And then I think it was third when they finally bumped it after New Year's.
No, it was a while. And let me
boomer moment. But anyways, it was freezing cold.
Mag 4 is when it jumped to January.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It was freezing cold, and the only way we could stay awake was having the windows cranked down and blasting Nine Inch Nails for 7 hours.
So that actually, your story there, that reminded me of something that I do like that has changed with MAGFest, to get back to your question. Back in the earlier days of MAGFest, for what little bit of a cosplay, costuming kind of thing there was, it was there was a roast.
Yeah.
Which, now it's actually, and I have a lot, I do a little bit of cosplay, but I have a lot of friends that do a lot more. And, having it be more of a, good nature as opposed to potentially mean-spirited side of things is a lot better. I will also say, if this is the friend that I'm thinking, she was dressed as Lulu.
Yeah.
I didn't meet her then, but we were two of the maybe 3 to 4 people who even cosplayed at the first MAGFest. I was a New Age retro hippie from Earthbound.
Nice.
Yep. And the friend that I've been talking about, I don't know if she'll forgive me for putting her on blast, but if anyone ever finds the
Kat, if you're watching, hi.
Hey. She cosplayed as Lulu from Final Fantasy X, and she really knocked it out of the park too.
Yeah, she did. It was a good costume.
Yeah. Any other
I
questions?
had more to that.
No. I mean, we drove down in the middle of the night. We got there. We had no idea what the hell was going on, where we were supposed to go. It's we're here for MAGFest. Are we at the right hotel?
Yeah,
I mean,
at the right hotel.
Because that
sign.
welcome woodsman of the world.
Couldn't tell.
I don't know if somebody already asked earlier, but when did Day Zero start really becoming a thing?
Oh, geez. I think when they started having it closer to New Year's, at the Hilton the one year, there was a James Bond party.
Oh,
It's
the Bond bitches. They hated us.
And
Before that one, there was a very tiny Day Zero on New Year's Eve.
I remember that. Yeah. And everybody destroyed themselves. By the end of that, everyone was just so dead. People weren't showing up to panels.
It was everyone there in room half or a third of the size of it.
Yeah.
With the jam space. Oh.
Yeah. Everyone partied so hard during that one MAGFest. The attendance for the Sunday events and stuff like that totally suffered because everyone was just completely done.
Yeah. But I feel like MAGFest isn't alone in having the sort of Day Zero stuff. I go down to Dragon Con in Atlanta, and these days, when I started going, it was a Friday through Monday convention because it's always on Labor Day weekend. And this, now Wednesday is the new day zero because they moved it into Thursday because enough people were coming in on Thursday.
Yeah. Now enough people come in on Wednesday that I can't wait till they bump it to Tuesday.
Yeah.
So,
We
you
always-
had a question in the back?
No, I'm gonna say that. That'll go for the next.
Ah,
Yeah, because
Yeah, like ironically, a friend of mine, like he was here with his girlfriend for the New Year's party, the Bond thing. He was going to MAGFest too, but didn't realize it was in the same spot until he
that's
got here.
fantastic.
yeah, and to explain, further explain the whole Bond thing. When wasn't it like the first time we went over there because they had that.
I want to say it was the second or third.
Yeah, but there was like some really super high scale formal event that was going on concurrently with MAGFest at the time. So you see all these people in like full on 3-piece tuxedos and all that kind of stuff, and real flat
It was
really
like
elegant.
Thursday night was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, elegant
directly
dresses and stuff
before.
like that. And then you get like a bunch of video game nerds
Wearing their
rolling
Hot
in.
Topic t-shirts.
Wearing Hot Topic t-shirts, fresh from the dorms and all that kind of stuff, tearing everything up, and like they hated us so much.
But the hotel staff liked us better.
Yes, and that was the funny thing. They tried to pull like a Karen move and be like, "You guys gonna need to get them out, or we're gonna leave." And then like
They're
Brendan's
like,
like,
"Bye."
"If you get them out, we'll fill their space." And guess who stuck around?
Yep.
So kind of from what you guys just talked about, have there been any other years where MAGFest has shared a hotel with like weird other groups?
There was one year, I forget what year it was. It was the year that Frankie came over. There was like some kind of religious convention at the hotel as well. And our friend Steph would dress very provocatively, and she would just walk around, and these like religious grannies are just seething at her in this revealing outfit, and they're just, how could she be dressed? It's a horrible example for our children.
Yeah, wasn't there
I forget what year that
Was
was.
there a year with a wedding, or am I thinking of other conventions? I know on the anime circuit there definitely has been.
Has there been a wedding at MAGFest?
Outside of MAGFest, attendees,
outside of
course.
MAGFest, yeah. Wasn't there a year when there was like an actual NFL football team staying here, and they told us to stay the hell off their floor or something like that?
The Washington football team.
Yeah. There was a year the Redskins were here, and they made it abundantly clear that like shit would hit the fan if anyone from our group had anything to do with anything they were doing.
But then I think they said that like a couple of the players got involved with MAGFest and were just hanging out and walking around and having a good time.
Yeah, it was probably corporate that was whining and crying.
Probably.
That's usually the case.
So any other questions? No, we got to fill this time ourselves. Shit, Hat, what are you doing today?
I got you. So another improvement that I've seen over the years is we used to have a jam space where people would just show up and they would jam. And then people started saying, well, my band's going to be at jam space at 8:30. And then they started reserving it. And it became sort of a curated other stage, but there was still no place to jam. So they added another jam clinic, shed space. It's changed names 17 times.
Yeah.
But that became the new jam space, and it was slightly curated, not curated, structured a little bit. There'd be staff, and they'd have a whole bunch of lead sheets, and it was just a great place for people to go and hop into something. They had music and all the different keys for different instruments to transpose, and that's been a really great improvement over the years. The original jam space was great, but it wasn't quite as inviting. And now the jam clinic, shed space, I really can't keep up with the name. Whatever the heck they call it is amazing. And they have music for people, and they're very inviting. And then they have some like kind of intro workshops they do, but most of the time it's just open for people to go.
Yeah, and the nifty thing is that people can just like complete strangers can just walk in and start collaborating with each other on the fly. Sort of like, like I said earlier, with people just kind of starting a game together, you can do the same thing with the music.
Yeah.
It's
Which
like, hey, I have an
brings us back
instrument.
to
Hey, I have
Mag
an instrument.
family. It's just we're all a family.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on that, does anybody know of any like bands or things or like big collaborations have formed out of like jam space here at MAGFest?
Out of jam space.
Wasn't Metric Metal formed by a group meeting up here? Or am I mixing up that story?
I know, well, there's a lot of bands that formed out of MAGFest. I just don't know which ones formed specifically because of MAGFest.
I mean,
what about Bit Brigade?
Yeah, I mean, I know there's like a ton of networking done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Smash Brothers was a very distinctly MAGFest band. Lonely Rolling Stars is a MAGFest band of just like super group of different
People from
band
other
members.
Yeah,
bands.
come
different
together
veteran
and do
musicians.
their own thing.
So yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, but I mean, also like I'm not really a musician, so I haven't been in jam space too often. But
Yeah.
you never know who you'll see in there. Like one of the years, like Sid Meier was just in there, like playing an instrument,
Yeah,
like
Sid
the
Meier.
Civilization. Sid Meier.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the composer from Cuphead, Chris Madigan, was there a couple years ago, hanging out with 8-Bit Music Theory and hanging out with Adam Neely, who's a YouTuber. So
Yeah.
It's just cool to see circles colliding at MAGFest.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you'll never know who you run into, because I remember like a few years back when Samus Aran played, like I bumped into her when she was basically like out of character, and I had no idea it was her.
And that's another really cool thing about MAGFest is like the guests, they don't sequester themselves. They mingle and they hang out with everyone else. And it's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, as long as everyone behaves themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one of the improvements that I really like about MAGFest is how the music part of MAGFest has exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, when it started off, this was basically just a gaming thing, and there were concerts to fill up the night. And I think there was even like I think Mustin DJ'd Saturday night at MAGFest
Yep.
one.
Yep.
I think it was he DJ'd Friday night, and then the
he DJ'd
concerts
Friday,
were
and then
Saturday.
the concerts were Saturday.
Yeah, and it was at
You
the
got
time.
starred.
And at the time, like the whole concept of like video game music covers and stuff was like so nichey, and I don't really want to say nerdy, but it like when you were promoting it to friends who weren't part of the scene, it was like and there's music.
distributed on Napster, 128 rate,
Yeah.
96.
Zing encoder.
Yeah, but like now it's just like, oh yeah, man, just fast forward, like even just up to 9-10 years, it's like, yeah, we got Nobuo Uematsu. Who the hell's that? You ever play a Final Fantasy game? Yeah, he did the music for it.
That's crazy to see the. Oh, go ahead.
On music, do we know what year the flights happened where we shifted from Mid-Atlantic to music and gaming?
was
That
like
would
3
be
or
something
4,
Brendan
right?
would have to answer.
I want to say it
was
was
pretty-
around 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was pretty early on, because I think it was after we moved a couple times, and we weren't sure if it was still going to be mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
So they came up with a more
It might have just been
Does
two.
Nick know the answer?
yeah.
Really? 5?
I would trust Nick.
But yeah, they wanted something a little more encompassing and representative of the content, not the location itself. Made it much more brandable.
Is there anything about MAGFest that you don't like?
It ends. Nah.
That is one of the.
If you had to do like a Groundhog Day, a weekend at MAGFest would be great.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
You should do everything.
Yeah. I mean,
Deathloop 2, MAGFest.
MAGFest Boogaloo.
Magloop.
What's your best and worst experience at SmackDown?
Let's see. My best would probably be tied with the worst because it was the first time I got excessively drunk. I was partying with does anyone remember where Wire's from? Was it Sweden?
Before
Yes, I think
it was Scandinavian.
Scandinavia.
I'm pretty sure she's
just
Swedish.
Partying with a Swedish girl in a hot tub in my underwear, and then I threw up in a bidet. So that was fun. What about you?
Well, let's see. Best is maybe my 40th birthday party here, and one of the was that the one? I think it was Luchador Quinceanera was the theme.
Oh, geez.
So it was a fun night.
We've had some crazy room parties and
Yeah.
themed room parties over the years. So.
Worst, I mean, I kind of hate to say it, but this year I'm only coming for the panels that I had committed to, and I live local, so I'm like, rolling in, rolling out. I'm not going to get to see as many people because I'm trying to be, cautious. Even though it's a lot more sparse, it's not, as crazy as it has been in past years here.
I think picking this year's kind of cheating for saying it's the worst year.
Yeah.
because there's a, you know, like a pandemic or something. I don't know. Have you guys heard about it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a bad case of cooties going around.
Yeah, cooties.
We lost a lot of panels within the last week or two.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically lost our panel, but we're still kind of
Yeah,
throwing
like
shit
for
together.
people who weren't here in the very beginning, there was supposed to be 8 people here,
Yes.
and one of them was supposed to have brought in like all sorts of multimedia that we could have like shown up on the
with
TV and
pictures
stuff.
and video and shit like
I
that.
know I was processing all those changes, so.
Yeah,
Thank you for your service.
yeah. Well, I mean,
What keeps you? What brought you to MAGFest? One.
So the first MAGFest, I found out really a combination of the OG forums as well as the booth at Odeon. And I met Joe the first day. I guess the one thing I can say I'll put on my tombstone is technically I was the very first MAGFest attendee. Because I showed up there like a day early and they're like, what the hell are you doing? So I'm like, well, I can help you guys out if you want. So Joe Yeager and I have been good friends ever since that. But for me, it's sort of, MAGFest is very different from a lot of other conventions that I go to, is that it's kind of an organized chaos, and it's become sort of a way the video game version of DragonCon, where it's like, it's more strictly video games and music, but you're guaranteed to find something that you like. Like, if you don't like concerts, if you don't care at all about concerts, there's tons of content. If you just want to go to panels, you can do that. If you just want to hang out with friends, you can do that. So, it's kind of a something for everybody's type deal. Of course, I'm still here because I'm staff and I'm a masochist, but that's all different.
That's cheating.
yeah. It's all worth it in the end. And yeah.
I'm telling myself that, yeah, someday I'll believe it.
Someday it'll all pay off.
I mean, and and that's the nifty thing because like I mentioned earlier, like it's grown so large and it has enveloped so much content that you're bound to find something.
Yeah.
To
There's
kill the
something for
time
everyone
with.
here. There's
Yeah.
always going to be something for somebody to do.
Yeah. And like we can kind of sort of humble brag that we've been here enough that we've kind of sort of seen and done everything, but not really, because there's always something that we find in the schedule be like, oh, hey, whoa, hey, that's kind of cool. Let's check that
new.
out.
That's new. That's interesting.
So, there's always something. And even if there's stuff that you don't like, you don't have to deal with it because there's something else that's probably right up your alley, right in your wheelhouse.
Pat, do you have a worst moment of MAGFest?
So I don't remember if it was 7 or 8, but for some reason I decided I would have a dealer table and sell T-shirts, and that didn't go well. I made a whole bunch of Boo shirts that I assumed everyone would love. So everybody looked at it and went, "Yeah, this is really cool," but I'm poor. And I had like a handful of Day of the Tentacle, purple tentacle T-shirts that I'd made because I was lazy because they were easier than the Boo shirts because the Boo were front and back. I sold out of those stupid things, and I took orders for them after the fact. But what was really weird about that one is we had a fire drill. Everybody in MAGFest had to go outside.
Fire drill.
So what did everyone
I
assume
forgot about
happened
that.
during that? What was going through y'all's minds when we were out there?
It's fucking cold.
Yeah, wasn't it like at 4 or 5 in the morning
It was
in January?
in January for
There's been
sure.
a lot of fire alarms at MAGFest, so don't pull the fire alarm. Don't be that guy.
So the punchline
There's an
is
actual fire.
Yeah, unless
Yeah.
there's an.
the punchline is we all assumed someone had done something stupid.
Yeah.
No, in the parking deck there were sprinkler systems, and one of them had frozen over because it was so darn cold, and it had exploded, and that set off the fire system. And it took, fire people came up and they're trying to isolate where it come from, and the system was so cold that they had a hard time isolating it right away.
Yeah.
But we were outside for a good, 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was almost an hour. So yeah, like
Almost an hour.
January, cold as hell.
Bunch of
and-
nerds in shorts and T-shirts because
Yeah.
that's how we roll sometimes.
Yeah, just
Maybe
imagine
it's,
being immediately woken up at 4 a.m. regardless of what you're wearing and being kicked out of the hotel for an hour.
Well, you got about 5 minutes left. Anyone have any other questions?
Is there something that y'all miss about the old MAGFest?
Smaller crowds.
Yeah.
This year is kind of a relief for me because it's a smaller event. My biggest gripe with MAGFest is it's gotten so fucking big, and it's like shoulder to shoulder sometimes.
Yeah.
So seeing a smaller year like this where there's just not as many people and there's more distancing, I like the smaller crowds. So I
Yeah.
definitely miss having a smaller group of people.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of bittersweet because on one hand, it's great seeing the growth and more people really coming in and everything like that. But also like I said, back when we were over at the Hilton Alexandria Market, it was a smaller venue. It was a lot more easier to catch up with people, and you're not constantly playing phone tag, trying to figure out where to meet up. What are you doing?
Wasn't it
I'm
capped
here.
at 3,000 at the
Phones
Hilton?
Yeah.
working because
Mag
there's not
9
so
was
many
3,000.
Yeah, phones working because there's not so many people.
2025.
Yeah. There was a lot of
it's
people.
just gotten
Yeah,
crazy
for all the
over
people
the
that this is their first, I mean, we're about what, half of what we were?
Roughly half.
Roughly.
1,000 right now.
Yeah, we're roughly half of what we were pre-pandemic. So take the crowds you're seeing now and double it.
Except for this panel, have it.
Yeah. If you go down the vendor's alley, just imagine being just shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, slowly migrating through a giant crowd.
So enjoy the smaller crowds
Yeah.
while they're still around.
Yeah.
But for
Especially-
contrast, Mag 6 was 1/10 of what this is this time.
Yeah. Yeah. The growth was exponential because, like we said, we started off at around 200 to 300 and it just kept getting, and that was one of the problems to deal with is that trying to find a venue to accommodate. So when we finally got here, it's whoa.
Yeah, so for those that weren't here or don't remember, MAGFest 9, which was the last year, it was at the Hilton for what's now called Super MAGFest. It was so many people that they had the fire code, they had to actually limit registrations, and it was about 3,100 people, I want to say,
Yeah.
give or take a little bit. And then,
Mag 9,
they
they were
grew a
turning
lot when
people
it came
away.
here.
Yeah. And then we got here and
And now you see what it's
peak,
become.
peak numbers, 20 grand. Give or
Yeah.
take.
Well, that's our time. Thank you so much for coming, hanging
Yeah.
out with us.
We realize there's a lot of better stuff going on out there, and we appreciate you spending your time here with us.
check out all the concerts, check out the charity auction on Sunday, and have some fucking fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy MAGFest.
Name That Tune is
name that
tomorrow
tune.
night
Pick
at
your
10.
panel. When?
10 o'clock tomorrow night.
Name that tune. Check that out.
You're already? Oh, fun.
One of the people, yeah.
he's one of the guys running the Name the Tune.
I'm the guy that plays the sounds.
Who's hosting?
Adam Stackhouse is, and we're going to see if we can get Tim in through a Zoom.
Yeah, I heard Tim was going to try Zooming. So, yes, thank you again,
Cool.
everyone. Have a great day.